A very good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Where are you watching the United Hotspot from? Welcome again to our big daily morning show. My name is Webb. Are you happy about what's coming? We are officially into the weekend where we get to look ahead to what's coming. Luton, a trip to Kenilworth Road is what next for Manchester United, and in this one we are focusing on just that. How on earth are we going to deal with this team, a newbie that has proved stubborn for many an opponent in the English Premier League? Well, Man United should be back, as we have been excited by the results we've had. We've been winning games for fun. Our partnership in the midfield is working wonders, winning every game for fun. Certainly, there is a lot of us to draw on and look confident, feel confident and happy about what's coming. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot. Where are you? The question is, what is your prediction of Luton versus Manchester United? Go down in the comment section and let me know what your prediction for that game will be, and let's pick it up from there. Let's care and just dwell and frown because Luke Shaw and Lisandro Martinez are not there. So we frown and frown as if we are going to play Real Madrid in the Champions League final. No, guys, it's Luton at Kenilworth Road. We can't beat them bad. Now, we'll talk about how the past meeting was. I think it's very important for us to reflect on our past meeting with Luton and how we performed. And I do recall I was just going through that game and trying to remind myself of that, how that was. And the lineup we had was really far weaker than what we have now, even with the injuries we have, honestly. But before we get into that real talk about that game, just to remind you of the fixtures this weekend in the English Premier. There's Brentford, that will be the early kickoff on Saturday. Brentford at home against Liverpool. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one, really. For anyone, for the neutrals, it's an interesting one. For us, I don't think we will be neutral in this one. We'll certainly want Brentford to beat up on Liverpool badly, but the odds favor Liverpool, obviously, even if they're on the road. Liverpool given a 1.64 odd to win that one. Interesting game. Burnley up against Arsenal, another one where we think, but if one of these can do it for us, Burnley beat this Arsenal, and let's narrow the gap. Fulham up against Aston Villa. Well, Aston Villa will be hoping to bounce back from the frustration of being beaten by the big Man United and go travel to London, hoping to come and get a revenge against Fulham. Newcastle up against Bournemouth. Then Nottingham Forest up against West Ham United. Tottenham against Wolves. Manchester City up against Chelsea. That's a big one. We hope that Chelsea can do it for us. Chelsea, do just one simple good thing this season. Just do one simple good thing. One good thing this season is okay, please. Chelsea, we will all be supporting Chelsea, won't we? We as United supporters, we will be supporting. These are the teams to support for Man United, for us Man United supporters this weekend. We have got to first of all support Brentford to beat Liverpool, right behind Burnley to beat Arsenal. Let's support Bournemouth to beat Aston Villa, rather to beat Newcastle. Let's support Fulham to beat Aston Villa. Fulham is at home in London. Let's rally behind them to beat Aston Villa. Then Spurs to beat West Ham United. It's possible. Let's support them as well. Then Chelsea to beat. Those are the teams to support on Saturday. That is where we will be supporting and hoping and cheering, guys, on Saturday. Let's enjoy the Saturday football. Watch every game if you can and support our those teams against our big opponents, because that is exactly what we need to do for in the hunt for top four. Then Sheffield United on Sunday. There are two games on Sunday. Sheffield United at 5 p.m. It will be taking on Brighton. Of course, there was talk that the Brighton boss, Disabri, is being touted by Ineos and Sir Jim. Well, that is early talk, but it is there. And then, of course, Luton later on. The big one to end up the weekend is Man United traveling to Kenilworth Road to take on Luton. The odds and bookmakers know what they are doing. They know their job. They are putting Manchester United as odds-on favorites to beat Luton, 1.87, 4.26 for Luton. That shows you that certainly we are in the right frame. We are certainly looked at as the better team. But let's get your prediction. What do you think is going to happen? Barian Owili, welcome, brother. You're right on time. Good morning, Mr. Webb. Getting you from Kenya. Man United 3, Luton 1. I love your energy, brother. I love your positivity. Brilliant prediction there. Wakalire Peter Mutambo saying Luton is going to be beaten by again 1-3, 1 for Luton, 1-3 for Man United. Yes, Wakalire, beautiful prediction. We'll get into how exactly we can do that. Well, both predictions so far are pointing to Man United winning. Guys, we're going to get deep into this game. Well, I love the confidence you all have, despite the fact that we've got these concerns in these positions. Let me just take you back. You might have forgotten. Let me just take you back to the reverse fixture when it was a hard game, guys. It was a hard game. We did beat Luton. It was on the 11th of November 2023, last year. We beat them by a goal to nothing, and that goal was scored by the most unlikely of goal scorers. If you do recall, it was scored by Victor Lindelof. He was honestly, I think, our man of the man of the match in that game. He should have been, because if I try to recall the player ratings, I think his player ratings were higher than everyone. I think that was one of the decent games Onana had. For God, of course, he kept a rare clean sheet. By then, clean sheets and Onana were a bit rare. They were never meeting face to face. Clean sheets and Onana. But he kept a clean sheet there. He was probably our second or third best player in that game. His rating was about 7.5. Lindelof was 8.1. Lindelof was manning the central defense with Harry Maguire in that game. I'm here to show you why we should not be worried that the squad we have now, even with the injuries that we have, even if Luke Shaw didn't return, the squad we have now is far much stronger than the squad that beat Luton by a goal to nil. Not to say that they haven't improved, but here was the squad. Andrew Onana was in goal. Sergio Reguilon, one of his rare games for United, he was on the left. He played well. He was fighting for every ball, if you recall. His rating was about 7.4. Then Lindelof in the central defense next to Harry Maguire, whose rating was about 7.2. I think the central defenders did their job. I mean, they didn't concede a goal. Dalot on the right. At that time, Dalot was not yet there. He was not the Dalot we see now. He was not there. Maguire as well was still, people were doubting Maguire. Those are the times when we felt Maguire wasn't really at his best. Of course, it was and that month Maguire was the player of the month, by the way. He had, I think, picked up. Maguire was the player of the month in November, if you do recall, in the Premier League before he went injured. But he was returning. Maguire was just returning. He had a decent game in that. Then, in the midfield, we did not have a proper natural holding midfielder. We had Eriksen playing alongside Scott McTominay, one of the invisible games for Christian Eriksen in that one. Then Garnacho was on the left. Marcus Rashford played on the right. Then Bruno Fernandes at the number 10 and Rasmus Højlund up top. That was the starting squad for Manchester United. Then the substitutes, I think Mason Mount came on for Christian Eriksen. Then Anthony came on for Alejandro Garnacho. Anthony Martial came on for Rasmus Højlund. And Rafael Varane came on for Sergio Reguilon at some point in the game. Those were the substitutions, just to refresh your mind on how we beat Luton by a goal to nil. So you look at that squad that beat them. Now compare that to what we have now. Honestly, I think we would be right to think think that we should beat them. First of all, we're on a good run right now. Our striker Rasmus Højlund is in the mood. He's in the frame. He's motivated. If he's scoring against bigger teams like Aston Villa, West Ham, name them consistently, honestly, he should be scoring a brace or a hat-trick against Luton if the balls are fed to him. If he's fed, he should score against Luton. Luton have got some key absentees, by the way, in their team. I think one of their key players, I think, is called Lassie. He's not in the team. He's not available for the game. So they have got some loopholes we can sort of try to manipulate. So I think we can feel like this is a game. This is a game we can take on. This is an opponent we can beat, and there are no reasons for us to be concerned. Godwin Osakwe, I'm seeing you for the first time, brother. Welcome aboard. He's saying Manchester United to win by 3 goals to nil. I love the fact that you trust our backline, even if that we don't have Licha and probably Luke Shaw. I love that you say we are keeping this clean sheet. Honestly, with Andrew Onana picking up, when the goalkeeper is good, usually the entire team builds its strength on the goalkeeper. Andre Onana is lifting us, as much. Usually, it's difficult for even the outfield players to perform if the goalkeeper is not always coming to the task, is not always equal to the task, being asked many questions and they don't have the answers. I honestly think Andre Onana is lifting us as well. And You feel like a game against Luton, after performing like that against West Ham and then Aston Villa, he can only get better against a team like Luton. So that's another positivity for us to take. There is a lot. In goal, our goalkeeper is solid in between the sticks. Up front, Rasmus Højlund is in the mood. Garnacho is always Garnacho. Kobe Maino, I feel like must have rested in between now and between the last game on Sunday and this Sunday. I think this week has been, I think they had about 2 days off, so they had proper rest, I think, for them to be with their families and try to recover, because the reality is, hey, boss, like Eric Ten Hag said, United has been grinding results so hard. We've been playing too much football. We've been covering a lot of ground. So I feel like we will look like a fresher team. We will look like a fresher team as we get as we do take on Luton. So that for me is where I draw my energy and confidence. Now, if we win this game, if we beat Luton, is going to send a very good statement. Of course, there are people who are not yet convinced that Man United is back. And we are not back as per se. Yes, we are not 100. We've got a long way to go. You saw we beat Aston Villa. We are not as confident, honestly. We did not fully control the game, certainly. But I think I have a belief that for the first time in a long time, we are improving and we feel like we're going into a game with all this positivity. And that's why these predictions are pointing to us winning. For the first time in ages, we are going into a Man United game, with all this positivity and confidence in the team that we can go out there and perform. For me, that's an extremely important thing. That's an extremely important thing. The fans have got this belief because individuals are stepping up. I was trying to tell people that, and of course, Arsenal supporters will never want to hear this talk now because Arsenal is ahead of us, and Arsenal, of course, as a team, play better football. But the reality is, if you scrutinize the Man United squad, position per position, player per player, do you recall that, by the way, just yesterday, I think, UEFA released a report showing that the United squad is the most expensive squad. This current United squad is the most expensive squad in global football. Our squad is cost over £1 billion. We are ahead of Man City, Real Madrid, and all these clubs. So this squad, player per player, position per position, should be better than Arsenal, should be better than some of these other squads, by the way. Most of the squads, even ahead of us. We should be better than Aston Villa, should be better than West Ham, Newcastle. We should be better than Tottenham. We should be better than Arsenal. Position per position, player per player. This has the potential to be better than most of the squad ahead of us. So that's why if these players start performing like we've seen Onana perform in the last 2 games, if he steps up, you will know that Onana is definitely a better goalkeeper. His stats, by the way, what's strange is that the focus and the poor performance of Man United is covering the poor performances of other individuals in other teams. But Onana's stats show that he's one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the Premier League currently. Very interesting stat. The stats show that he's one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. But the reality is, Andre Onana, as an individual, should be better than David Raya. Shouldn't he? He's better than David Raya, certainly. So he's better than many goalkeepers. You look at our defense, Harry Maguire should be better than some of these, defenders, but he had a wrong spell. But position per position, right back, Diogo Dalot is improving. So Diogo Dalot is looking like he's the best right back in Europe right now. In the left, when Luke Shaw is fit, he's better than Zinchenko and any left back you can talk about. Talk about Lisandro Martinez. I don't even need to mention Lisandro. He's the best centre back probably in Europe now. Look at the midfield. Players like Kobe Maino. Kobe Maino can be in the conversation with Declan Rice. He has pocketed him before. We've watched this game in pre-season. When he was not even proven, he was pocketing him. So it shows you that he can be at his level. Already has proven. Look at Casemiro. Compare him to what? Thomas Partey at Arsenal. Casemiro as a player is a far better player than Thomas Partey. Bruno Fernandes. Stats show that Bruno, even in the struggles of Man United, Bruno's stats are better than Victor Lee, Arsenal captain. Martin Odegaard. Right now, you may not say he's not, but there is a conversation there that Bruno could be a better footballer than Martin Odegaard because his stats are up there with Kevin De Bruyne. Look at Garnacho. Garnacho is not so far from Bukayo Saka, yet Garnacho is a young player. He is only getting better. So you look at Marcus Rashford and Martinelli for Arsenal. So you look at up top, who either Kai Havertz or whoever, or Gabriel Jesus and Hoyland, who is better? So player per player, this United squad is strong, guys. It is strong. It is just the unit that had struggled to pick to jail, and it is beginning to look like it's picking up. So that for me is where I draw my positivity and confidence in this squad. That if the structure around is put right, the United squad is competitive and it can be good. So we go back to this game, and for me, that's why I've got to. And when you look at the depth, the players we've got on the bench, there is depth in this squad. You talk about Varane, Maguire, you talk about Lindelof, talk about Willian and the likes. There is depth in this squad. There is can't be when all players are fit. We've got Mason Mount. Tyrell Malaysia's return is being it's coming soon. Malaysia will soon return according to what we get. Like in a week or two, he could be back training with the team, and soon we could be seeing him probably come and take up the left back, because Luke Shaw certainly might be headed the negative way. So there is a lot of talent in this squad that we just need to work on the structure, work on the cohesion, work on the identity and the character, build their character. But the recent hard times have built them. Hard times or character. You know that about life. I think it's a rule of life. The hard times always build your character. That's why Man United is able now to be grinding results day in and day out. We are winning games in the dying minutes because we've built the character, because of the hard times we've been through. Katusime Pafura. Hi Web, I'm the biggest fan of you. It's going to be 0-2 in favor of Man U. Thank you so much, Katusime Pafura. Good to see you. I'm seeing you for the first time, and certainly I'm recruited as well. I'm your big fan right now. Please, the feeling is mutual. Thank you so much, and thank you for that prediction. 0-2 in favor of Manchester United. Beautiful prediction. Now, I've been trying to look at Man U and the state we are in now as we try to push for top 4. And of course, if you're pushing for top 4 in a race like this, you want to focus on your games. You want to focus on your games, obviously. And guys, how do all people take tea without sugar? I was trying it today for the first time, but it's not for me. It doesn't make sense. Tea without sugar is like medicine. I'm not sick. Anyway, so here's the thing. I was looking at our squad, and I went back and watched replays of the last 3 games, which I feel like are good games. Even the game against Wolves, guys. Forget about how it almost slipped, and it had to take where is my badge? It had to take our beloved Kobe to save us. Where is my Kobe badge? Why do I keep forgetting this badge? Am I silly? What's wrong with me? I wonder I wasn't feeling as energetic as I should because I didn't have my badge on me. What's the hotspot without? Who is Web without this my badge? Sorry, Kobe. Sorry. Let me just stick it there. So I was saying, even the game we played against Wolves, whereas we struggled and it had to take the magical Kobe to get us a win. I actually think it was the launch of our rebirth. I felt like we played well for the most part of the game. It was mismanaged because of maybe Erik ten Hag's tactical decisions, wanting to destroy the opponent, being overconfident in ourselves, but also Erik ten Hag's fascination with playing a single pivot. He couldn't make it to see it that he needed to balance his midfield to limit the advances from Wolves. But the reality is, I went back and looked at the last 3 games of Man United, and I felt like all we need to do is just reorganize. We need a little reorganization for us to be unplayable. Because, like I said, the individuals have now stepped up to stepping up to try to come to their best, to their little best. Now, if you've got individuals like Hoyland who are scoring goals for fun consistently, the partnership of Maino and Casemiro has proven that it can yield results. And for me, this is one of the things I was waiting for, to see whether how would we look when Kobe Maino and Casemiro are playing together. How would Manchester United look? I was not sure how it would come out, but it has yielded 4 wins in 4 and 3 goals and an assist. That's what it ready. So already it shows it's working. Now, but I was looking at these games and I'm thinking, whereas it's working good enough and we are getting results, it can be better because that partnership that has even enabled us get the results we are getting so much can also ease the pressure we get in games by how Eric Ten Hag makes use of it. For me, the only tweaking we need to make, and I studied these last three games clearly, honestly, is just in the midfield, just readjusting our how we play in the midfield, regardless the opponent. And people might undermine Luton. We cannot afford to underestimate Luton. There is no, we are not in a place where, as Man United, we should be traveling to Luton, and even if Luton were at home, we should not be in a position where we travel to a team. I like the fact that in his press conference, Eric Ten Hag stated it. He has been he gave them credit for how they have improved in the past couple of games. We cannot be we cannot be overconfident because we are taking on Luton and we're on a run. We are winning games. So for me, I think starting with this game against Luton, Eric Ten Hag has got to just do a little reorganization in the middle in terms of how we play. Decentralize roles more. Let Bruno commit. If he's the number 10, let him be the number 10. That way we'll see the best of him. Let the attacking midfielders and what you'd call the forwards lately, let them focus on doing that. During set pieces, they can track back and try to recover. Bruno can come and add an extra body to the two holding midfielders, but let the holding midfielders be disciplined. We lack discipline in the middle. That's why we struggle and get this bit of pressure. And I mean, a United fan out there will collapse. I saw Kobe Maino recently sending a message to a boy whose dad passed while he was doing bad in the hospital, but he had to watch the United game against Wolves. But that Kobe Maino goal is the last good thing the man saw. And Maino was sending a message to this boy who was telling this story. You know what I mean? If we continue playing like this and winning games like this day in, day out, we cannot be winning games like that every weekend. We can't. Some people will knock off. You know, we cannot. We're in football to save us from pressure, to make us happy, not to be under pressure every day. Of course, there are games that are supposed to be pressure games. There are those few games. If you are playing against a team like Arsenal, against Man City, and it's end to end like that, it's okay. But it can't be every day against Luton, against Wolves, against West Ham. You're all winning games the same way under pressure. People will collapse and die. The reason that pressure comes is because of Eric Ten Hag's usage. The players are okay, but how Eric Ten Hag organizes them to play is what puts us under pressure. So I was studying and I'm thinking, if Eric Ten Hag can only get players, the way we know that Bruno Fernandes is the one who takes our corners, that's the decentralization of duties. Everyone knows their role. And when he takes them, his set pieces are always looking for the head of Harry Maguire. And you know, they practice it. You clearly see that it is practiced in training. And it makes sense. Jeremiah Bakora, I see you. Welcome. Hi, how are you doing? So for me, if Eric Ten Hag can only make one tweak, and it is easy. Tomorrow we'll look at the probable lineup. And it's easy to predict the probable lineup now, probably. Of course, we may get a few names wrong because of the defense and we may not be sure who is going to start. But it is very easy now to predict a starting 11 of Man United because we are beginning now to have, and it's important to why we have improved by that. Before, he was having the zillions and zillions of changes because of injuries and stuff. You could not build patterns when every other game you've got to change. Amrabat is in the left today, then you have Eriksen in, then Eriksen is sick the other game, then McTominay comes in, Casemiro goes, is injured, then you get Anthony, then someone else is injured, Garnacho is injured, then Højlund cannot play. There was a confusion. Now that we are beginning to look like we know now our starting 11, it's important, so there will be consistency. That's why we are beginning to see some bit of consistency in performances. Now, this is where Eric Ten Hag's tactics have got to come in. Before, the blame was on players, but we can say now that the players have stepped up their game. It is now upon the manager, Eric Ten Hag, to make good use or right use of these players. How does Eric Ten Hag organize his team? In the middle, I should see holding midfielders stay disciplined as holding midfielders, be patient. Casemiro and Kobe should be there in their positions, covering up each other. They can either choose to say, if you're blocking on the left, you're staying on the left. Blocking on the right, you're staying on the right. You don't need to cross that central line to go on the right and the left. Or they can keep interchanging, but running horizontally. Their interchange, their movement should be more horizontal than vertical. The thing is, like we saw in the Aston Villa game, many times these are the things to improve. The weaknesses. Many a time, Kobe Maino was caught up front, and just that these Calvin Phillips and all these other, okay, not even a Calvin Phillips, the Aston Villa guys were not even they were not clinical, but even Calvin Phillips in the game against West Ham, it was the same. Single holding midfielder, he leaves a big space on the right. Kobe is caught there up front with Bruno. Then he's trying to sprint back and recover. With the first player, you will be punished. So what Erik ten Hag has to do is to just bring that discipline in the midfield. Let Kobe Maino block on one side, let Casemiro block on one side, then let Bruno stay there as a number 10. He has enough ground for him to enjoy. Bruno loves to play that free role. He loves to loiter around, but let him loiter from the final third of the opponent. Let him stay there. He's more dangerous there. Let Højlund be patient, stay there. Let Højlund be patient and stay there. Unless during a set piece, if you are defending a set piece, let him be patient as a striker. He will score more goals if he's patient. Stay there. Let Garnacho always, if Garnacho and Rashford, they can track back because you want wingers who also track back. Let Rashford track back. Let Garnacho track back. When you get the ball, let them go, they go wide. Because we've got good ball passers. Casemiro can pass long range passes. Varane can. Harry Maguire can. Maino is perfect at that. When you have the ball, they go wide and stretch the pitch. So you realize that then there will be more decentralization, less pressure. But this business of playing one holding midfielder will probably might beat Luton again, but again it will not be a convincing victory. Now, I'm focusing on Erik ten Hag and his tactics. I'm focusing on Erik ten Hag and his tactics. For me, that is exactly where we've got to improve. Not cry about the players and all, but the tactics. And I like this prediction from Katusime Pafura and Godwin Osakwe, who said 3-0. I would want us to keep a clean sheet like we did against West Ham. I would want us to keep a clean sheet, that is, dominate the game, keep a clean sheet, and win with a statement. You see, if we go to Luton at Kenilworth Road and we beat Luton but without a statement, I mean, for me, it won't be satisfying. We're at a point where we now are supposed to win games with a statement. So, for me, if Erik ten Hag does that, and I see more decentralization of roles in the middle, especially in the midfield, I honestly think Manchester United will obliterate Luton. You say 3-0, I think this could be our biggest win of the season. We could beat them 5-0. A hat-trick for Højlund, one more from Scott McTominay off the bench, Maino, one for Maino, Bruno as well. If Bruno stays as a number 10 and is not having to worry about running back and tracking back, let him play number 10, take corners. Play number 10, take corners. Trust me, it can end 6-0 because we won't give them chance to leave, because that Bruno, Marcus Rashford, Højlund and Garnacho will keep Luton busy, that they will have no time to come back at us. Whenever they'll get us on the counter, there will be Casemiro and Kobe waiting. So that's decentralization. Simple, easy, wheezy, lemon squeeze. For me, I think that's exactly what we are supposed to do if we are going to deal with Luton properly. For me, that's exactly what we are supposed to do. Well, let me know what adjustments you think can be made. Let me know what adjustments we can make. But yeah, for me, for me, this is the key thing. This is the key thing. It's maybe mostly the same personnel, but different usage and approach, especially in the midfield. Our struggles are in the middle. So Luke Shaw is doubtful, yes, but he could return. He's working hard to be sure that he returns. Lindelof and Diogo Dalot would be options to replace Shaw if he doesn't make it in time. But another fullback, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, has also suffered a setback. So yeah, I will not dwell so much on that. I think I've spoken a lot enough about who should be starting in left back in the event that that Luke Shaw fails to make it back in time. Let me just give you some news. The situation with Kylian Mbappe is not so good. Huh? Uh, so the situation with Kylian Mbappe and his move to Real Madrid, and this is where for me I see a window that Man United should be exploiting. The situation with Kylian Mbappe is not good. Apparently, Real Madrid have given him a contract proposal that is way below what they had proposed him in 2022, and it's below what he has been getting at PSG in terms of wages. Of course, I think the bait for them is not mostly the wages. It should be mostly the image rights. But I'm thinking about this because according to Fabrizio, apparently his Kylian Mbappe, rather Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid, wants Kylian Mbappe to join him or to join them on their terms, which should be the thing. But probably Mbappe was being too proud and arrogant and stuff because it felt like perhaps they were desperate to sign him, but they're now changing because it's messed up with him and PSG. But also they know that probably they are the only club that can afford to take him. To take him. But I looked at this Mbappe and I'm saying, you see, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is coming in and he has proven and he has shown that he is this daring guy who is not afraid, doesn't fear danger. But now this is not danger. If he could go to Man City and pull out if Kylian Mbappe is being taken by Real Madrid, Real Madrid cannot just take Kylian Mbappe easy like that when Mbappe wants to leave Real Madrid. I think there should be a club that should have the confidence and audacity. This talk that he already agreed to join Real Madrid is nonsense. It's not. They convinced him and all, yes, they would want to sign him, but he did not agree to anything. He can't do that because he was contracted with PSG. Before he agreed, maybe he gave them his word, but he can change his mind. Nothing is signed. I'm thinking this is where Manchester United should be coming in. Imagine if Sir Jim Ratcliffe brought Kylian Mbappe at United now. I am sure many of us we will forgive them if they don't bring back Greenwood. But also it will be such a huge statement to Real Madrid, to football, a huge statement of intent. You see, we've already made our statement. Weekend Man City, we are weakening this upcoming Newcastle. We are weakened Arsenal by taking away their medical guy, their doctor. We have weakened all the things. We need to weaken Real Madrid because they are just going so far ahead of everyone. They have got Jude Bellingham, they have got Vinicius Junior, and what have you. They have got, of course, this whole allure for all the best players. But you see, for Mbappe to come from PSG to go to Real Madrid now, if it were seasons ago when Madrid was in a big competition with Barcelona, it would make sense. But Mbappe will be bored at Madrid because the El Clasico is no longer the El Clasico. It's no longer the biggest football game now. It's like died. Barcelona is also in their struggles. They are where we were before, perhaps even worse. They are going to struggle for over a decade, this Barcelona team. So there is no, he will go there, yes, have all this money and make it. For Mbappe, is it about money away his bonus with France? I don't think so. Mbappe at 25, his prime, his best is not even ahead of, even behind him. He has not played his best football. His best football is ahead of him. Mbappe should be playing in a league where every weekend all eyes are on him. That's not the La Liga. That is not the La Liga. It's not Real Madrid. Mbappe should be playing in the Premier League. That is where he is going to play and convince everyone that he's as good as everyone wants to. He's certainly the best player in the world now, of course, after the aging of Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Mbappe should prove it. He will win Ballon d'Ors for fun if he's playing for United. If we sell to him this project right, give him his £400,000 per week and give him maybe 40% of his image rights. It's not about money for Sir Jim. Let him take his image rights. I'm telling you, Kylian Mbappe will join us. And if Mbappe joins us, have Mbappe, give PSG Marcus Rashford and add them 50 million if they have to. Give them Marcus Rashford. Bring Mbappe. Mbappe loves to play from the left. Let Garnacho stay on the right. Hoyland up top. Your number 10, either bring back Mason Greenwood because he can also play number 10, or you, if you don't want to bring back Greenwood, Bruno can keep as number 10. Trust me, United will be the most difficult team to play. What's for Alan? Hi, Web. Don't you think Scott's number may be changed to a striker with time, with Benny McCarthy training him? Yes, that's a very good one. Benny McCarthy has been spending a lot of time training Scott McTominay and trying to make him, because he has got the goal scoring instinct, isn't he? See goals at that level, so many goals at that level by mistake. And Scott is 26. It's not too late for him to be transformed into a striker. I mean, Didier Drogba was what? Was he a defender? Then I know guys who are goalkeepers and they were transformed. Andrew Nana was a midfielder. They made him a goalkeeper. So it's not too late really for Scott because he has shown that he can score goals. Scoring goals is about instinct, and there's different types of strikers. There are poachers and all. So if Scott McTominay is transformed into a striker, then maybe it's another way of managing. We transform him into a striker, and he becomes the proper backup for Rasmus Højlund, and then we get a replacement in the midfield. Buy another cheap player who is going to be a midfielder together with the senior one, the replacement for Casemiro. So instead of buying another striker, because there are not so many of them on the market, transform Scott into a striker. He backs up Rasmus Højlund, then buy two midfielders, a main one, a marquee one, Joao Neves profile sort of, who is going to be the proper direct partner for Kobe Maino for the long term, replacing Casemiro, then buy another one. Or even if you don't buy another, that person transform Mason Mount into that, by the way. If Scott McTominay is transformed into a striker, we are creating space in the midfield for Mason Mount as a backup midfielder because Mount can play different places. But also, I think Mount can be, with his energy, he can be transformed into something. The thing for me, why Mount has been struggling in United is because of the lack of a proper setup and identity. But if we have Dan Ashworth in and he defines how we play, Mason Mount could shine at Man United properly. He could shine if you give him structure. I think we've lacked structure at Man United. That's why many of the good players have struggled. So yeah, I think you have a point there. Scott McTominay has consistently proven that he can score goals. He has got the goal scoring instinct. Scoring goals is an instinct. Scoring goals is an instinct. And it's a very important instinct a very unique instinct to have. So if someone has it, then you can as well try it. So yeah, I think you have a point. Don't you think Scott is a number may be changed to a striker with time, with Ben McCarthy training him? It is possible, and I would love to see how that works. So that's a way for me. Anything honestly now, I was before one of the people who were saying Scott McTominay should be among the first players we sell. But for me, before we sell Scott, Marcus Rashford first. For me, I would keep Scott McTominay ahead of Rashford. I would keep Scott McTominay ahead of Casemiro in the summer. Sell Casemiro and make that decision. Get a replacement for Casemiro. Yes, I would keep Scott ahead of this. I would keep Scott before I would sell Varane before I think of letting go of Scott. I would sell Anthony before I think of letting go of Scott because Scott McTominay can be transformed into many things. He can be a holding midfielder. Of course, he's not perfect at that, but he has played there. He can be an attacking midfielder. He can be a number 10. He can now even score goals. He can be a striker because he has got the instinct. So, yeah, Scott he could be an important player for us. He can be like our John O'Shea, by the way. Scott can be our John O'Shea, but him is a Why does my sound keep going off? It should be okay now. Sorry. I think it's okay now. It should be okay now. So, sorry. I don't even know where I went off from. I don't even know where the audio went. Watching my. So, thank you, United Lovers channel. Our audio is off again. Sorry. The sound, I think it's okay now. Just let me know if it's okay now. But I was saying, I was just reading an update here from Roy Keane. Roy Keane has been commenting about the new director of football we are looking at. We are touting Dan Ashworth. And this is what he said. He doesn't hang around, does he? I'm not sure loyalty is on top of the list, on top of his list. I'm not sure loyalty is on top of his list. He left Brighton for Newcastle, and now in only 2 years he's jumping to United. You have to look at that side of the personality as well. No doubt he is brilliant at his job, but who is to say in a year and a half he might want to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona? Now, and I'm saying Roy Keane has a point. You're still not getting me? Hello? You're still not getting me? You're still not getting me, Waswa? Is it okay now? I think it should be okay. I think it should be okay. Hello. Can you get me Waswa now? It should be okay now. Perfect. Thank you. So, what I was seeing people dropping off, I think the sound chased people away. Never mind, I'm winding up anyway. But sorry, these technical things always happen. I'm always working, guys. My microphones are rechargeable microphones, so they keep at times they get off when I'm talking. I'm lost in the conversation, and so anyway, here's the thing. Roy Keane, and his statements. Roy Keane is saying that Dan Ashworth does not hang around. You see, it's a very bad thing in life for you to be identified as a journeyman. Like for you, don't settle in a job. You're always here and there and there. However good you are, imagine if Lionel Messi was all over the place. He plays for this club for 1 year because he's the best footballer in the world. He plays for this club for 1 year. He proves he wins over the fans, gets bored, moves on to another. You see, you cannot live life like that. It's an extremely wrong thing for you to be a journeyman. At least give yourself. I mean, usually if you settle in a job for 3 or 4 years, usually you might not be classified as a journeyman because people would say 3 years is enough for someone to say now I want to move on, because usually most strategic plans and objectives of organizations usually take 3 years. But also anyway, the reality is in this day and age, in the current structures of organizations, especially in football, it's difficult for you to stay in one job for a long time, especially if you're a manager. But you see, for Dan Ashworth, it is always him who moves. It's not like he's sacked. It is him, moving and moving on to other places. But whereas Roy Keane has a point in his statement and opinion of Dan Ashworth, I think when it comes to Dan Ashworth and his job, it's different. I think you can be a director of football. The core job of the director of football is to give direction of what has to be, where you want to go and how you want to go there. If you do that and you leave there a proper work and give it time to prove that it works, create the template and it makes sense, I think you can lay a foundation for others to come. You don't have to be there to make it work. Because if you start it, give it some bit of time, a year or two, to see that it's working, you agree with your team that it's working, that the manager who has come is the right manager, has the right contract, the players, their profiles, there are clear profiles of which kind of players to bring in, you've put in place a strong recruitment team, you can move on in 2 years as the director of football. because you're not then going to be, it's not an everyday job really. I don't think a director of football job, it's more of a strategic job. And yes, there is some monitoring, but it can be done, and at some point you can know that now it's okay. So yeah, he has a point. It's not good to be a journeyman, but for his kind of job, if it were a footballer, if it were a coach who moves after a year or 1.5, that's different. But director of football, I think there are not so many like him, honestly. But you need his skills to be able to create so many good, strong clubs. He made he made Brighton a strong team. He's away. He left Brighton in 20 what 20 was it 2022. Brighton is still performing. The fruits are being seen and enjoyed up to today because he laid a good foundation. He left the FA in 2018 to join Brighton, but in 2018, the year he left, they were reaching the semi-finals of the World Cup, and in 2022 they were reaching the final of the Euros. That is still credit to his England DNA that he put there in 2014. So his kind of job, I think you can afford to be a journeyman because he has special skills and talents that are needed at a certain point in time in a sports entity or in a sports institution. The England right now doesn't need a proper. This wouldn't need. Imagine if it stayed at the FA after initiating that England DNA in 2014. It is working, and you see it's progressing, it's building results. Then it stays there to do what? To do what? Already they've started it. It's working. They're bought into it. They've got the right people to execute it. Move on and do the same thing. Help Brighton. Goes to Brighton, starts the same thing. It is working. It has produced all these brilliant players. It's making sense. Move on because now it's working for Brighton. Take that skill elsewhere to Newcastle. He has gone to Newcastle 2020. They have all their money, put together the right structure. We've always been praising for Newcastle for their good recruitment, good coach. The structure, you can see that it's there and it's firm. He has hired the right people. He has made sure it's firm to go for probably the entire part for the next 5 years of their strategic plan. Move on. United now needs his skills because he's exactly the missing piece in United. Let him come to United, change things around. Stay at United for 5, 6, 10 years. I don't think so. If he comes and puts together a good working plan as director of football and it makes sense, Eric Ten Hag is doing right, or we've got the right manager to do it, we start recruiting the right players and it's working, he can move on, go to Barcelona, because Barcelona in 5 years will be needing his skills more than United will. He will have solved our problem. For me, that's how I look at it. So I think whereas Roy Keane has a general point, I think it does not exactly apply to this role of Dan Ashworth. I honestly don't think so. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you. I think my time is up. I will be back again later in the day. For now, that's it. Just enjoy. Go and enjoy that video of Kylian Mbappe and why I think Kylian Mbappe can join Manchester United. Hotspot. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot. Subscribe, guys, and let's keep shows. I'll be talking about our predicted 11, and that's when I'll give you my probable my prediction of our game against Luton. Of course, it will be a win. You expect me to say United will win, but by what margin? I'll give it to you tomorrow. Catch you then.